Hello. Today will be the beginning of a journey with the unemployed profession. I will be trying to survive 100 days as an unemployed man in Project Zomboid. I will be releasing these in 10-day intervals to avoid super long breaks between the videos. Right now the plan is to go down the list of professions trying to survive 100 days as each one. I will be giving a detailed rundown of what I think about the occupation at the end of the run. Anyways, let's go. I spawned in and immediately got to work watching TV. I set the start time at 5 AM so I could have an extra life and living show for a bit more XP gains. As I was gaining fishing experience from exposure survival, I went and ate everything in the fridge because I chose the underweight trait. I then left the house and started clearing out the perimeter of zombies. I noticed a survivor home next door, which I found to be extremely useful in getting gear to clear out the rest of the zombies in the immediate surroundings. Ooh, yes. Nice. There was even a car out front that I found the key to in the house.
Key to the car outside.
This was when I had the most horrific slip up in the run. Yeah, on day one. Just watch this clip.
Shit. Fuck.
Yep, that's right. I got bit. I know what you're thinking. I gotta restart the run. Nope, I have the only cure mod installed. So I set my goals on finding a saw to cut off my arm. I noticed a tool shed right across the street with a bunch of zombies around it. I tried to sneak to it because clearly I was in no condition to fight given what just happened. That didn't go according to plan. I ended up kicking the hornet's nest in the effort to get to the shed. If there was gonna be a saw anywhere, it would be in that shed,
please.
so I was determined to live. So I got to work clearing out the zombies that got attracted. I just barely managed to kill them all. I knew the clock was ticking, so I looted the shed. It thankfully had a saw.
Come on, saw. Yes. Okay. The run might not be over.
I ran all the way home to begin the process of cutting my fucking arm off. At least it was the left one. I thankfully survived the amputation.
No. No. Oh. No. Damon. Oh, shit.
And, can we give a round of applause to Damon? Only because he can't give himself one. So once this arm came off, I knew that two-handed weapons were temporarily out of the equation.
These feet are still plenty good for stomping.
So after hitting up that survival home again for any leftovers, I got a 2x4 and a metal pipe from it that I could use to keep kicking some ass.
Ooh, a gun case. Ooh, look at that.
The next house I looted had a first aid kit with a suture needle in it that I could use for my amputation. I was also able to loot a school bag off a zombie. Took his jacket too. I went home, read some books, and waited till I could fall asleep. I couldn't fall asleep under normal circumstances because of the pain, so I just had to wait. After a few hours, the pain died down enough for me to be able to sleep. On day 2, I woke up at 5:40 to catch a Life and Living show and gain some cooking experience. I spent several hours washing myself off and my clothes, and by the time I was ready to leave the house, it was noon. I decided to go down the dirt road a few houses down from my spawn area. I had to fight a dozen zombies just to get to the house at the end. It was difficult, but with most odds against me, I managed to pull it off. I just broke my 2x4 in the process. I explored the house and decided that I want to make it my main base. So after checking everything out, I walked away with a new bag and another fanny pack. On the way back, I siphoned gasoline from the car wrecks outside the survivor home and put it in the car. I now had a sweet ride. A cherry, as some would say. I went back to my starter house and got ready to move out for the morning. When I awoke on day 3, I noticed that I was queasy. I was really confused that I had cut off the arm with the bite almost right after the bite happened. So given that I'm only on day 3, I decided to leave my stuff in the house, go out, die, and continue as a different character. So say hello to Damon's son, Damon Jr. He's a carbon copy of his father except without the sick-ass goatee. So, here we go again. Day 1.
Oh, spawn in the same spot. Holy shit.
I made it to the future base with little to no trouble thanks to the doings of the previous generation. I looted the shed, something I forgot to do last time, and found a hammer, an industrial propane tank along with a normal one, and some other useful tools. I entered the house, made sure it was clear, dropped off the food, and sat down to read in front of the TV. Now is a good time to talk about the direction I'm going to take this playthrough. And I am planning on making a spear build with short blunt as my support class, so that means carpentry is a valuable skill to level up. I'm also going to rely on foraging for chipped stones for early spears. I have more ambitions for the playthrough as well, but you're going to have to wait to see how they go. Anyways, after watching Exposure Survival for fishing XP, I disassembled some furniture for planks and went foraging for stones. I found some on top of a few bugs and tree branches. After that, I made some spears and headed for the house next door to clear and loot it. In the house, I found more propane with a welding torch and a bunch of electronics that I also took with me. I cleared the house of its food and headed back to end off the day. On day 2, I woke up early enough to catch Life and Living and went back to bed afterwards until 11:40 when I caught the next woodcraft show and leveled up carpentry to level 2. I then exited the house, made a beeline for the nearby school in an attempt to find some skill books. When I pulled up to the school, I noticed some zombies and began clearing. After clearing out most of the Zeds around the school, I went in and began looting. I found some very useful magazines, such as some Scrap Warrior magazines and some Post-Apocalyptic Knights magazines. These are both from the Scrap Weapon/Armor mods. I made my way to the school library and picked up some very useful skill books, such as Carpentry, Mechanics, Electrician, Foraging, Trapping, and Metalworking. I also picked up all the electronics I saw, all of which are going to be very useful in the near future. After that, I jumped into a nearby house and ransacked it of all its food and tools. I put it all in this duffel bag I found in the closet. After a fruitful day of looting, I went home by midnight and began the grind of leveling some skills. The grind mostly consisted of disassembling everything that wasn't nailed down while in front of the TV. I forgot to press record during the first bit of grinding when I watched Woodcraft after reading and disassembled the watches and other electronics I had collected. That wasn't even enough to get to level 1. I went to a couple of houses and disassembled all the furniture while the TV played Life and Living. By the time 6 p.m. rolled around, I had level 5 carpentry, level 2 trapping from Life and Living, and level 2 foraging. I was about to grind up the 6th level of carpentry when the helicopter event triggered. I tried staying in the house I was in, but they started to come in through the windows. When all of that was dealt with, I disassembled the TV, which gave me the last bit of XP to get my electrical skill to level 1. I went outside after the helicopter left and thought I could get away with grinding out carpentry to level 6. I was wrong. A laceration at the worst possible time in the worst possible place. After dealing with a small group, I tried to return home as I was in no condition to fight. Little did I know I had a nasty surprise waiting for me at home. I had to re-clear my base of zombies while I was tired. I had coffee in my inventory, but I didn't want to use it for this. However, I ended up needing to whenever I discovered another group behind the house. I got lacerated again during the fight. I thought for sure whenever I got grabbed that it was over. But after hours of fighting with my arms, both of them, out of commission, I was able to come out victorious. I spent the entirety of day 5 resting and organizing stuff in the base, barricading windows, taking care of bodies, stuff like that. After an early start to day 6, I started looking for zombies left over from the helicopter event. When I couldn't find any, I started foraging for chip stones and reached level 3 while I was at it. With the materials I found while foraging, I was able to make 6 spears. I then decided to go on a looting run, specifically to find a welding mask, as I had all this propane and really no way to use it. Upon pulling out of the driveway, there were about a dozen zombies that I had to kill. During this, I realized that my arm was still in horrid condition, so I decided to use more caution than usual moving forward. On a side note, I did loot a holster, revolver, and a crash helmet from a zombie. As I made my way up the street, there were even more waiting for me, so let the clearing commence. After dealing with all the zombies inside, I got drowsy and I decided to duck into a nearby house. After finding a mini arsenal in this guy's bedroom, I caught a life and living show, made some more spears, and before I went to bed, I got extremely lucky and found a VHS of Car Zone that I leveled up mechanics twice from because I happened to read the first volume, Mechanics, a few days prior. After that, I went to the bedroom and went to sleep. On day 7, I woke up at 5 o'clock and immediately got back out there to keep looting. I happened upon a fire truck in front of a burned down building with 3 fire axes in the bed. That was insanely lucky. I spent over 12 in-game hours looking for a welding mask with no notable loot except for a Tech 9 and some ammo, which was actually pretty cool. But eventually I finally found what I was looking for. Yes! Happy with everything I had looted, I went home after another successful day. I awake on day 8, fully healed from my wounds and ready to start building some more fortifications. I grabbed an axe, made some sheet rope, and got to work chopping trees. By the first round of chopping, I had almost 100 planks. I figured that was enough to at least get started. By 9 p.m. that night, I had about half of the perimeter framed out with all of my planks used up. Before I went to bed, I collected a few more logs and set them in the living room floor, ready to be sawed in the morning. On day 9, I wake up and do the same thing all over again. Sawing the logs I got the previous night, I got back to work building the perimeter. By 5 o'clock, I had the perimeter framed out. I wasn't at level 7 carpentry yet, so I decided to read carpentry 4. By the time I got done, I was drowsy and exhausted from a full day of work, so I decided to chill at home and grind out the last little bit of maintenance XP for level 2 until it was time for bed. In case you didn't know, you can repeatedly push a window with a weapon and power level your maintenance. Here we are, day 10. I decided to go out and disassemble some more stuff for carpentry XP. I mainly focused on doors so I can collect more knobs and hinges. When I felt like I had a sufficient amount of hinges and knobs, I went back to the school to disassemble the cafeteria tables. These give huge amounts of XP, especially with the multiplier you get from the books. After disassembling the tables, I was a bit over halfway to level 7 carpentry. Also, after disassembling a whole classroom of desks and still not hitting it, I knew I wasn't going to make it in time. So I looted the school shed, took what was useful, and went back home. The bright side is that I can make the big gates with the materials and levels I have now. I chopped a few more trees and got ready to build the doors. I put one in the front of the house and one behind the house just so I wouldn't have to go all the way around the wall if I wanted to forage. Anyways, we have successfully completed 1/10 of this journey together. I will now cook and eat a celebratory snail. If you made it all the way to this point in the video, I sincerely thank you for watching all the way through. If you enjoyed this video or learned anything new, go ahead and leave a like. If you didn't, I wish you a good rest of your day and hope this video will be the worst part of it. I'll see you later.